Hey guys, this is just an introductory to painting. Anyone can paint, especially anyone can prime. It's just the simplicity of setting up. You'll see me here, I'm opening up the bucket of paint, and this is primer. I usually go through the lid, I open it up that way instead of taking the little cap off. It just ends up being cleaner. I can wipe off all the excess back into the can and then just reseal it up. It's another big deal. You see me here, I'm cutting in the outlets, I'm cutting in around the central vacuum and around the light switches. I do this first, and I'll cut around the door frame, and I'll cut it into the crown molding and or the ceiling. So just finishing up the light switches, and then I'll head up to doing the crown molding, cutting that in. Now, when I'm cutting in the crown molding, I put just enough paint on the brush and our primer to go 1 foot, and I'll do it again to go another foot up to 3 feet, and then I'll smooth it all out. So that way you have 3 feet of nice brushed in strokes. And I'll do the same thing again when I go the next 2 feet. I'll brush it into the other 3 feet, so 5 feet altogether, and so forth. You just do what you feel is necessary. And in this case, you want to make sure it's nice and smooth all over. You'll do the same when you get to the door frame. You will paint a little bit and then thin it out, paint it again, thin it out. It's about getting nice, even strokes. And speaking of having nice, even strokes, it's good to have a medium range or a high range paintbrush. That way it'll take the paint and won't leave any horsehairs or any bristles, there we go, behind. That's very, very important, because you don't want to be painting and then picking out the bristles in the paint. It becomes monotonous, and it doesn't leave a nice finish, and you might even forget some. So anyways, you cut it in, and then as soon as you're done cutting it in, the next step is to start rolling. You grab your roller, and what I typically do is I load up the roller, and I will take a quarter of the wall, roll it in, and I'll probably put it on an angle. And being as I put it on an angle, when I get to rolling the entire wall, I pick up that angle again. As in, I'll go straight, and it covers up a little wider area. Now, I'll throw the paint onto the wall, because I know I'm gonna come left with the primer, and then I'm gonna go back right with the primer. Kind of like doing 2 coats in one, and that way you get a nice thin coat, even though you applied a lot of paint. You can do the opposite too. You can take a little bit of paint, roll it, take a little bit of paint, roll it. I prefer to take a little bit more paint, roll it, and then repeat that 3 or 4 times, depending on the section of wall. I don't go any more than 4 feet doing this, and then I'll roll it all out, and then I'll roll it all back. It just makes for a nice paint area that is light and smooth. You don't want to be throwing it up on the wall. You don't want to be, you don't go fast either. You go nice and even. Keep the balance of the roller. By keeping the balance of the roller, you won't have any lines in your paint. If you do happen to have a line, roll it out. This paint, or any kind of paint these days, especially if it has the additives, will dry really quickly. So rolling it out nice and smooth to the point where the roller is almost dry, that's perfect. You don't want to leave anything excess, no runs, no anything like that, because it's very important for the finish coat that it comes out nice and smooth. And if you pick up anything on the wall, say you hit the ground or whatever, or hit the floor, it picks up some dust or debris, or there's some dust or debris in your roller, just pick it out, re-roll that section, and then roll it out over again. The most important part is to roll it out. Go nice and slow, don't spray the paint everywhere, and just take your time with it. That's the key to painting. From start to finish, left or right, top to bottom, it's all about taking your time. This is also sped up a little bit, and the first thing I learned was how to paint. So this is just some of my tips and tricks of the trade. And like I said in the beginning of this, anybody can paint. Just make sure you wear your paint clothes. or clothes that you don't care to get damaged, because you will get paint on everything. And yes, I have painted in a suit. I have done that. Didn't get any paint on me. Customer gave me quite some grief, like, how are you even working? That's another story altogether. They couldn't believe that I could paint in a suit. But that goes back years from now. Anyways, I hope this little bit of an intro or basics to painting helps you out. And if you have any questions, let me know. Maybe I can make a video on it. Also, at the end of all this, like, if you're gonna come back to rolling something and you're gonna be gone for a couple hours, you can actually take plastic wrap and wrap your paint tray. You're fine for a couple hours, no problem. Make sure the roller stays wet, make sure the brush is in the paint and there's lots of paint on it. It will be okay for a couple hours. When you're done painting, being that this is a latex paint, not an oil-based paint, put it in water. Like, strain off all the paint, extra paint, back into the original paint container, as long as it's not contaminated. And then, what do you call it? Clean it off in water. There's paint spinners, there's paint strainers, there's all sorts of stuff like that. It doesn't take too long, and that way you can dry out your brushes after they're thoroughly cleaned. And I always usually put my rollers back into a water-based solution, and that way it's clean for the next time. But don't mix colors, and don't mix like primers and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, on to the next part of this video. So like I said, everything here has been already coated, and then the second time, or the third time I went across it, I changed everything to pink by tinting my mud. Just a little bit of a tip. That way you can see right away what areas need to be sanded. So I sand out the areas, and it actually becomes a nice lighter pink. After that, we cut everything in, we start rolling the wall, and you will see everything that I was talking about. So again, if you have any questions, let me know. I can make a very specific video. This is just kind of like a general intro to painting, the basics basically, as per me. So let's throw some music on, and then we'll get this video all wrapped up. can see, guys, all the pink spots are gone. I installed that yesterday. That's for the hood vent. And just a tip or trick, I measured the cabinets going across, lined it up. I measured the upper cabinets going across, lined it up. Both are center on center. And then I double checked it all over again. So, like, 4 measurements in total. Anyways, moving on. All the spots are done, as you can see. So this house is ready to rock paint. So today the painter comes and hopefully they'll be able to get started and not complain. Thanks for watching.